Hi everybody, welcome to an Age of Fantasy battle report. Orcs versus Havoc Warriors. The Orc Shaman, who fought alongside Faewynn, Haleth and Galtrin, has continuously led his Orc tribes against the Necromancer's forces. The Orcs have control over a smaller area in the northeastern part of Teniras, but also here the Necromancer casts a long shadow. The Orcs have their backs against the wall, and now a dreaded Havoc Commander has been sent to eliminate the final Orc resistance. Only the Shaman and his few tribe members are in the way. The two forces deploy opposite each other on the battlefield, and this is a standard mission with 3 objectives. Both armies are worth exactly 600 points. The 3 objectives are placed in the middle of the battlefield between the 2 armies, and whoever controls the most objectives at the end of round 4 will be the winner. There are no side missions in this battle. The leader of the Orcs is the Orc Shaman. He is a wild leader, frenzy, scout, strider at tough value of 3, and then he is a level 3 caster, a master shaman. With him he has a group of wild orcs. They also have frenzy, scout, strider, and they are armed with spears. Deployed to the right side of the shaman is a group of black orcs. They are furious and headtakers, and all of them armed with great weapons. Behind the shaman, a group of great boar riders, fast, furious, and with a tough value of 3. They are armed with hand weapons and heavy tusks. Finally, a group of brute orcs, also with a tough value of 3. They are furious, armed with dual hand weapons, and one of them with heavy great weapon. The Havoc forces are led by a Havoc Commander War Master. He has a tough value of 6, and he is furious and fast, and he has the Dark March ability. He's armed with dual hand weapons and a heavy claw, and he's mounted on a Demon Mount. With him he has 2 groups of War Gore warriors. They are armed with 4 heavy hand weapons and 1 heavy great weapon, and they are frenzy. In the middle of the deployment zone, a group of warriors. They are all armed with heavy great weapons. And finally, a group of Havoc hounds. They are fast, they have strider, and they are armed with rending claws. The Havoc forces will roll the orange dice, and the Orcs will roll the green dice. Let's roll off to see who will activate first in round 1. And that's a win for the Orcs and the Shaman. They will activate first. Before that, the Wild Orcs will use their scout ability to move to the center of the battlefield, and the Orc Shaman will get 3 caster tokens. The Orc Shaman will activate first. He will move slightly, and then he will cast a spell, Magic Fists. He can target 2 friendly units within 12 inches, and they will get rending when they fight the next time. And he will target the Brute Orcs and the Wild Orcs. That will cost him 2 caster tokens, but he will use the 3rd one to increase the chance. He needs a 3. And that's a bad start. The magic fails. The Wild Orcs moved towards the center objective, and that put them into range of the Havoc hounds. They are fast, so they can charge 16 inches, and they will charge the Wild Orcs. But they are armed with spears, so the Orcs will counter and attack first. But there is not one single hit here. The hounds really took them by surprise. Instead, the Havoc hounds will attack with 5 rending claws. They will hit with a 4. 5 attacks. They hit with 2. None of them are rending, and they are AP nothing, but the Orcs have a really bad defense of 6. They are practically naked, and they can't defend any of the hits. 2 Wild Orcs will be shredded. So the Wild Orcs will lose this melee fight. They are forced to take a morale test, and they will have to roll 5 or more. And it's no good. They are shaken. Luckily for them, they still have more than half the unit left. The strong brute orcs target the first objective, and they claim it on their own. The Havoc Commander moves a few inches forward, but from here he uses his Dark March ability to command the warriors 6 inches forward. That's an aggressive move, but it will also protect himself. The warriors are within reach of some of the orcs though, and they are not slow to charge against them. The black orcs with a charge of 12 inches can reach the warriors. They hit on force with their 5 great weapons, and that's a great roll. There are 2 furious hits. That will give them a total of 6 hits. All of them are AP2. And with the warriors' defense, they need 6s to block these hits. That will potentially eliminate the entire unit. Ooh, and no, they will roll 3 6s. 3 of the warriors will be hit by the orcs, but 2 will survive and fight back. And that will be with 1 heavy great weapon and 1 heavy hand weapon. They need 3s to hit the orcs. And there are 2 hits. The first one with an AP3, the orcs must roll 6 here, and no, so at least 1 orc will be hit, and the other one will be defended. So 1 orc will die, but the black orcs will win the battle. The warriors are forced to take a morale test, and they will pass. The black orcs will move 1 inch back, but they are still close enough to contest the objective. Immediately after the warriors, the 2 remaining warriors will activate, and they will not attack back. They have already fought. Instead, they will move aggressively forward against the shaman. The wild orcs activate, and they are no longer shaken. That way, they can also contest the central objective. Then the Havoc warriors charge against the black orcs. It's not over for the black orcs yet, by far, in this turn. They will hit with rolls of 3, and they have heavy great weapons. And there are 3 hits. All of them will take rolls of 6 to defend. And the orcs will defend none of the hits. 3 orcs are taken down by the Havoc warriors, leaving only 1 black orc behind. And he can, of course, fight back with 1 attack. He has already fought, he's fatigued, and he will hit nothing. That way the Havoc warriors will win the battle clearly, and the morale test for the remaining orc is good. He will keep fighting, and the objective is still not controlled by any of the forces here. Final orc unit to activate will be the Great Boar Riders, and they are fast, and they can reach the warriors. They will begin with 2 impact hits, and both of them will hit. So the warriors must block with a roll of 4. 1 of them will go down here at the first impact. Then the Great Boar Riders will attack with 3 hand weapons and 3 heavy tusks. The hand weapons are AP nothing, and there will only be 1 hit. The tusk attacks are AP 1. And an additional hit. The remaining warrior will face 2 hits. And the first one, he will block that. The second one with AP 1, he will need a 5, and that's no good. So the warrior will go down and the unit is eliminated. And I even forgot 1 furious hit, but that didn't really matter here. The final unit to activate in round 1 is the second group of warriors. They will rush here to the center of the deployment zone, and that will end the activation. And also round 1. 2 of the objectives are contested by both, and the orcs have control over the bottom objective here at the battlefield. Let's continue to round 2. The Brute Orcs activate first in the second round, and they charge directly against the Havoc Hounds. Apparently they are hungry for a chopped Havoc Hound stew. They attack with 8 dual heavy hand weapons and 3 heavy great weapon attacks. They hit on 4s. And they are, of course, furious. So already here we have 5 AP1 hits. Now the one with the heavy great weapon. 2 furious hits, and all in all there will be 9 hits to defend for the Havoc Hounds. With a defense of 5, they will need rolls of 6 for every hit. I doubt they will get out of this one. No, not at all. They don't defend anything. All 5 Havoc Hounds are brutally slaughtered and maybe turned into a stew. The Brute Orcs will consolidate slightly back and still guard the objective. But they will not avoid an attack from the Wargore Warriors. 6 attacks and they hit with 4 of them. One of them is a furious hit. And the Wargore Warriors are frenzy, so they will also get an additional AP. That means the Brute Orcs must roll 6s. Ooh, and that's a bad roll. They will take 5 wounds. That will eliminate one of the Brute Orcs, and another one will take 2 wounds. They can still fight back, but they are fatigued. They will need 6s to hit, and there is no 6s here. Not one hit. So the Wargore Warriors will win the battle, and that takes a morale test. And they will pass. The Brute Orcs are ready for more. So the Wargore Warriors will back off, and they will get nowhere near the objective. The Wild Orcs have claimed the central objective now that the Havoc Hounds are gone, but they want more. They charge against the Havoc Warriors with their spears, and one of them will hit. That will take a roll of 4, and the warriors will block. Now all 5 warriors will hit back. Maybe the Wild Orcs really didn't think this through. They hit far better than the Orcs, and there are 3 hits here, and it's AP3 heavy weapons. That will take 6s for the Orcs, and if they don't roll at least 1, they will be eliminated, and that's the case. The Wild Orcs did charge the warriors. They overestimated themselves badly, and they are gone. Even though they have just fought, the warriors will now charge the remaining Black Orc. They will have to roll 6 to hit with any of their weapons. They have 5 chances, and there are 2 hits. That will be a challenge for the Black Orc. Again, the weapons are AP3. He will have to roll 6s, otherwise he's down, and he is. Brutal fight. But of course, you would expect nothing less from a clash between Orcs and Havoc Warriors. The Shaman moves a couple of inches, and then he fires a spell. He will attempt the Godly Foot. That will cost him all 3 caster tokens and will take a roll of 4. And the roll is bad again. He targeted the Wargore Warriors, and they would have taken 6 AP2 hits. But that didn't happen. Now the Havoc Master will again command his troops forward. They have already activated, but his Dark March ability will force them 6 inches longer down the battlefield. And then he himself will move and claim the objective. At the moment, the Havoc troops control 1 objective and the Orcs control 2. The Great Boar Riders still have their activation. They could attack the Wargore Warriors, or they could try to thin out the Havoc Warriors, and that's what they will do. They will charge against the Warriors here first, 2 impact hits. And they hit both of them. The Warriors must now defend them with rolls of 3, and they are both good. No hits. Then they will attack with their hand weapons and the heavy tusks. 3 of each, all with a hit roll of 4. And there is 1 furious hit. In the end, there is a total of 4. The tusk attacks will be with AP1, so they will have to roll 4 to defend those. And they really defend those hits in a great style. And they also defend one of the regular hits, and that leaves only one warrior down. But the remaining 4 warriors can fight back. They have already fought several times, but they will still hit with 2 attacks. And the orcs will not defend, so they will take 2 wounds. That's one thing, but they will also lose the battle and be forced to take a morale test. They have a quality of 4, and they fail. So they will be shaken. Really bad for the orcs that one of their strong units will not be able to do anything in the next round. And that concludes round number 2. Nothing is yet decided. The fight is brutal. Let's go to the 3rd round. The Havoc warriors will activate first this time. And this Wargore warrior unit is at full strength, and they will charge the brute orcs with all their attacks. 3 hits, but one of the heavy great weapon hits is furious, so that will be a total of 4 hits. And because of their extra frenzy AP, the orcs need 6s to all of the hits. And they roll 1 6, but that's 3 wounds, and yet another brute orc will be cut down, leaving only 1 heavily wounded left here. He can fight back though, and he will hit with only 1 attack. And that attack will not even kill one of the warriors. They will block and they will win the battle. With a roll of 4, he will pass the morale test. He's still around and he will block the way to the objective. The boar riders will activate and remove the shaken condition. They are back in the fight. But that leaves the initiative to the Havoc warriors, and this time they are not fatigued. They will charge again with full strength. And they will hit with 2 of their attacks. Again, 6s are needed, and that's 2 further wounds to the great boar riders that will eliminate one of them and also give a wound to one of the others. They're not shaken anymore though, so they can fight back with everything they've got. 2 weapon attacks and 2 tusk attacks, but only 1 hit of each. The warriors will defend the tusk hit, but fail the other, so 1 warrior is killed. Still, they win the battle, and the boar riders face another morale test. This time, they are good. The orcs are being pushed back, and the shaman himself must do something. He advances to the center of the battlefield, and he can see and target the War Master with his magic. He will try to cast a headbutt spell that will cost him 2 tokens, and he will increase the chance with his final token. In case he hits, he will take 1 AP 4 hit with deadly 3. Let's see. His magic has failed him twice, but this time he will cast the spell and he will hit the Havoc Commander. He will need a roll of 6, otherwise he will take 3 wounds. And that will not eliminate him, but take him to half strength, and he will not defend. He takes 3 wounds, and that takes him down to half strength. He can be out of the battlefield in just a while if he's not able to pass the morale test, but he will. So he's heavily wounded, but he will pass his morale test, and I bet he will take his revenge. Without a second of thought, he will charge against the shaman. But the shaman is armed with a spear, so he can counter-attack him. That will be his chance to take him out. He will have to roll 5 or more, and he will hit with 2 of the attacks. Come on. But that's not enough to penetrate the heavy Havoc armor. So now, the War Master will have his impact hits first. But the shaman will block, The Shaman has a very weak defense of 6, so he is really, really under pressure, because now comes the attacks with dual heavy hand weapons and a heavy claw as well, and he will hit on a roll of 3. And of course, he's also furious. That's 4 hits, and the Shaman will have to block at least 2 of them to survive, and he will have to roll 6s. And he makes it. He rolls 2 defense rolls that will block the War Master's attacks. He takes 2 wounds, but he's alive, but he still has a morale test to deal with, and that does not look good with a quality of only 5, and no, that's where he goes down. He will leave the battlefield immediately. He's alive though, but out of this battle. The Havoc War Master stands victorious in the center of the battlefield. With his leader gone, the Brute Orc here charges in what could be a suicide attack versus 5 Wargore warriors, and he has already fought. But he will hit with 1 of his attacks, and he's furious, so that will be 1 more. 2 hits. And the Wargore warriors will not defend any of them, so 2 of them finally go down. They fight back with a total of 4 attacks, and 1 of them hits. Only 1, but that will take a roll of 6, and if he fails, the Brute Orc is killed. Only 1 chance. And he takes it. He rolls a 6. He's still alive. And also still in the way of the objective. Incredible. He will move back 1 inch, and the Wargore warriors will have to pass a morale test, and they are still here. This fight is far from over. But the round is over for now. The end of the 3rd round. The Havoc forces now control 2 objectives, and the Brute Orc hangs on to the 3rd objective here. Let's go to the 4th and final round. There could have been a chance for the Brute Orc if the Orcs activated first this turn, but they don't, and the Wargore warriors will charge against the Orc here, and they have a lot of hits. 4 hits, and I think it's just too much. Of course, we'll see. No. This hard-fighting Brute Orc is finally killed, and the Wargore warriors will claim the objective. That only leaves the Great Boar Riders, and they could leave, but instead they will take their revenge on the War Master. They will charge him in the middle of the battlefield. First, impact rolls. 2 hits, and he defends only 1 of them. He will take his 4th wound. Then he will face 2 weapon attacks and 2 heavy tusk attacks. They will hit on 4s. Only 1 hit, and he will block with a defense of 3. Ooh, and he also fails that one. He will take his 5th wound. He's still alive, and he can fight back. It's not over yet. He swings his weapons and claws, and he will hit with 3 attacks. The Boar Riders will defend with rolls of 4. They'll block 2, so 1 wound. Because he has Fear 1, this battle is tied, and that means no morale tests. The Orcs have no units left to activate. They can't win this battle. The Havoc War Master will withdraw. He has claimed the northeast part of Teniras and hunted down the Orcs. He stands victorious, and once again the Necromancer claims the land and spreads his terror. At the end of the 4th round, the Havoc forces controlled 2 objectives, and the central objective was contested by both forces. That's, of course, a clear victory for the Havoc warriors. Thanks a lot for watching this battle report. I hope you enjoyed the content. If you did, please like and subscribe to the channel, and I hope you'll join me for future bad reps.